Hi there! This is a brief introduction to NamibLII and how to use it. NamibLII is hosted by Laws Africa and is part of the African Li family. Users of NamibLII have access to all other legal information institutes hosted by Laws Africa, such as SAFLI, KenyaLII, and UgandaLII. In November 2020, the Ministry of Justice entered into a partnership with the Legal Assistance Center for training and the creation of annotated statutes. We gained access to something known as NamibLII, which is like a Wikipedia of laws. NamibLII orders laws by topic. For example, if one were to be in NamibLII looking at the topic animals, it will show you all the legislation relating to animals. Each entry gives a brief summary of the legislation, explains its applicability to Namibia if it was a pre-independence legislation. It indicates whether the legislation has been amended, if there are any regulations made under the legislation, and if there are court cases or commentary available on this legislation. The partnership, NamibLII also gained access to annotated statutes and annotated regulations. Annotation is the writing in green that will be seen in the NamibLII legislation that gives the reader additional guidance, although it doesn't form part of the legislation. I'd now like to show you what is available on NamibLII and how to use it. Anyone with an internet connection can go to NamibLII.org and use the site for free. The home page looks like this. You'll see at the top that there are tabs called Home, Judgments, Legislation, Gazettes, LRDC Reports, and COVID-19 Legislation. If one were to click on, it will show you the most recent judgments, and you can search judgments by year and using keywords. If one were to click on legislation, you will find Namibian consolidated legislation, which means that the legislation is annotated. You also have access to NamibLII and NamibLII Appendix. NamibLII Appendix is a collection of international legislation which is in force in Namibia, such as treaties. The legislation is ordered alphabetically. Returning to the home page, you can click on Gazettes. Here you can have access to the original PDF Gazette ordered by year. On the home page, you will notice that there is a search bar where you can search using keywords. If we were to search for COVID and click on the magnifying glass to search, it'll give you all the search results that have the word COVID included. You can further filter your results by choosing whether you are looking for a government gazette, legislation, or a judgment relating to COVID. If we were to look at the list of all the COVID legislation published so far, and choosing the most recent as at 30 April 2021, you will find that the latest version, as annotated, will open. The timeline indicates when it has been amended and by what it has been amended. All legislation is downloadable as a PDF. All legislation is also annotated, showing amendments and further guidance for the reader. The table of contents you will see is in blue, which means that it is clickable. Laws Africa, the company that hosts NamibLII, makes this possible through programs that they use, making legislation very user-friendly. If you were looking for legislation before the amendment, you can go back on the timeline and click on the previous version by clicking Read Version. Take you to the previous version with a red banner indicating that it is not the most recent legislation. Returning to the most recent legislation, I'd like to show you how the table of contents works. If, for instance, we click on section 4 saying gatherings, the program takes you to section 4 without having to scroll through a Word or PDF document. There you can see what a gathering means, and you can see the annotations that have been included as the definition of gathering has been changed since 2020. In the future, NamibLII will also contain regulations, both pre- and post-independence, bylaws, frequently asked legal questions, rules, codes, and forms. We're very excited about the future of NamibLII. NamibLII represents local, sustainable growth, and I trust you're going to enjoy it. Thank you.